I am here to talk about the power of authenticity in the workplace, how it advances careers, increases productivity, reduces turnovers, and enhances corporate culture. That's what I'm talking about. So everybody here, welcome, and you're going to understand areas of corporate culture that require improvement. Leaders will be empowered to be intentional about inclusivity, authentic allyship. You're going to identify destiny threats that can undermine personal development and stall career progress. You will receive strategies to become agents, reduce employee turnovers. That's what's going to happen. So what is authenticity anyway? Because you hear about authenticity. What is it anyway? So authenticity is your unique footprint, your unique voice, being true to yourself, to walk fearlessly towards fulfillment of destiny. So if we're talking about embracing authenticity in the workplace, I'm really talking about allowing the people who work with you, for you, in your teams to be themselves. Because a lot of times you're going to find the people are hiding because they are afraid that if they are who they are, if they are who they're supposed to be, if they portray that there may be repercussions. That, you know, some people are like, okay, if I really let other people know that even though I work in cybersecurity, that I also play the saxophone and I do gigs at night in a club, then maybe there's going to be a witch hunt. And people are going to be like, oh, she's really interested in her job, or he's not really interested in his job. And, you know, let's just find a replacement quietly and just let him go. So you're going to see that a lot of people are not really being who they are because they're afraid. They think that there are going to be repercussions if they're not authentic. So we're actually going to embrace that today. We're going to talk about that today. And another thing for you to understand is authenticity opens doors and it brings new business. So for example, the reason why I mention this is you're going to see that there are some employees on LinkedIn who are building their personal brands. They're themselves on LinkedIn. They're doing fantastic jobs in the workplace. They're meeting the goals and they're doing all these wonderful things, but they're building the personal brand on LinkedIn. Some of them are photographers. Some of them are speakers. Some of them are just doing wonderful things, graphic designers or jewelry makers, just creative folks. They're being themselves on LinkedIn. They're being authentic. And it opens doors and brings new business because, check this out. When somebody sees someone else, let's say a corporation sees somebody being themselves, and like, this person has got this brand, this personal brand. It's beautiful, it's unique, it's powerful. That's the kind of person I want in my corporation. That's the kind of person I want in my organization. That's the kind of person I want to lead teams. If this person can do this stuff for herself, certainly she can do it for the organization. It opens doors, and we're going to talk a bit more about that. Another thing to understand is when there is a lack of authenticity, it affects the job. When an employee is not being himself or herself, when you're not being who you are, it will affect productivity. Because after all, you're a human being. You're human after all. So when you're in the workplace, you just come in there, do your job, do whatever you need to do, and off you go. Then you go home, take care of whatever you need to take care of, and then you start being you. You are not you for 8 hours of the day, but you for the remaining hours of the day. So why can't you just be you all around, even though you're doing your job? So that's something that we really need to think about. Why can't you be you all around? There are some people who say, well, I'm not paying you to be you. Well, if you're not paying them to be you, to be themselves, then it's going to affect your productivity. It's going to affect your bottom line because you're going to have unhappy people. You're going to have unhappy employees. You're going to have unhappy folks around you, frustrated people around you. They're not going to show it, but guess what? One day, I mentioned this earlier in the masterclass, they're going to leave. They're going to plan to leave, and they will eventually leave. I share the example of Erica is a software developer. She also has a photography business, which is fully booked to weekends, but nobody knows at her job. She has a reason. Nobody knows. There is Paul. Paul is a technical architect. Plays the saxophone at gigs. Some evenings, some weekends. He's a great musician, but nobody knows at his job. Has a reason. And you know what? The reason is the same reason that Erica has too. Fear of repercussion. Because you think that if I let you know that I am so skilled at playing this instrument, that I got these gigs and I'm part of a band and, I'm famous outside the workplace, and you don't even know that I'm famous. You don't even know that we're doing this stuff outside the workplace. And the reason why he's not letting the workplace know is because he doesn't want to witch hunt. He doesn't want them to think that he's not doing his job. Meanwhile, he's doing his job, he's delivering, he's meeting his goals, doing everything, yet you don't even know who's working with you. It's a question for all of us here today. Who is working with you? Do you even know the people on your team, apart from their names and the roles that they play? Do you even know anything about them? It is extremely important that when you talk about authenticity, you know the people that you work with. I'm not saying go and be nosy and go into people's personal business and all that stuff, but make an effort to know who's working with you. Be interested. Be intentional about your interest. That's what I'm talking about. So how does authenticity reduce employee turnover? According to a research from Warwick University in England, it says happiness increases activity. I mentioned this before. When people aren't happy, they're going to leave. Something happens when employees are not happy. They start to plan to leave the company, and they eventually leave. A lot of times, you're going to see that the reason why people are leaving, it's not because they don't like their job. They just don't like the environment. It could be that the manager or whoever they're reporting to doesn't address their humanity. Maybe you're a manager here and you're thinking, that's not my business. I don't really, I'm not interested in anybody's humanity. I'm just here to do my job and to deliver. I'm here to give results. But guess what? You report to somebody else too. And you have your own humanity to think about. You have your own issues to think about. So it trickles. It trickles. So the behavior that you portray, it trickles and it creates ripple effects. So if you're interested in your team and they're not happy, you should know about it. And not just know about it, do something about it. Because a lot of times, people know what the issue is, but nobody does anything about it. You know that there's a problem, but you're not fixing it because you say it's not your problem, that's higher management problem. Well, it's higher management problem, but if you, in the middle, as a manager, is able to communicate consistently, persistently, communicate to higher management that we got to fix this problem or something's going to happen, then a change is going to come. But if you just leave it there and say, that's not my problem, well, guess what? Your best employees are going to leave, and you're going to be stranded. Because everybody wants to feel valued, everybody wants to feel appreciated. So it is important that you make an effort and understand that if your folks are not happy, they're going to leave. And one reason why people will leave is because they don't think that they belong. They don't feel like they belong. Yes, you want to say, okay, we have diversity hire, we have people in there, but it's one thing to say you got a diversity hire, but if your diversity hire doesn't feel like he or she belongs there, there's a problem. So you got to fix that. And one way of fixing it is embracing authenticity, is also communicating and talking to the people in your team. And another reason why people leave jobs as well is purpose. Purpose is calling their names. And when I talk about purpose, because people want to be happy. I'm going back to authenticity again. People want to be happy. People are like, you know what? I'm done. I've been at this job for 20 years. And what? 20 years of my life. I'm just giving you an example of people talking. 20 years of my life at this job, and I just feel like the train, the boat has gone, the ship has sailed. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? I've got all these gray hairs and all this stuff, and I've not lived my life. What's happening to me? And next thing you're thinking about retirement. It's like, what on earth is going on? What have I given to the job? And there's some people, you've given so much to the workplace, you're giving so much to the job, and then one day, people are laid off. And you're like, what is going on here? I've poured into this place, poured into this corporation, and yet, just like that, it's over. So, it's something to think about. Purpose is calling their names, because there is a generation now that's like, you know what? I can do whatever I want from home. I can work from anywhere. I can embrace technology. I can use my voice. I can use my gifts and talents. I can be me because purpose is calling my name. So I don't really have to stay where I don't feel valued. I don't really have to stay where my humanity is not even embraced. I don't have to stay there. So, there are lots of opportunities and many things that people can do these days. So I guess my message really for this particular purpose, calling people's names, is don't take people for granted, because they're going to leave. Don't take them for granted. Purpose is calling their names. And when purpose calls, they go. Because no matter what they do, purpose is still calling their name. That thing, there's something inside them that's telling them, go this way, do this thing. This is what you should have done years ago. And they really pursue it, because no matter where they go, no matter where they turn, that thing is still there. Purpose is still calling their names. So don't take people for granted, because they're going to leave. This generation desires a happy, fulfilled life. And technology has paved the way for career elevation. It's happening. Side hustles. Side hustles are generating great income for people, leading to some quitting jobs to pursue their passions without office politics. People are tired of office politics. They're like, you know what, I don't have to deal with this anymore. Why do I have to come in every day and people just talking about this person, that person? I'm not interested. I'm here to do my job. At the same time, I want to be happy. But I don't have time for office politics. I don't have time for that. So there are lots of people in certain stages in their lives who are feeling like, you know what? I don't have to put up with this. Technology is here. And lots of emerging technologies happening. And I can really, really just elevate my career. I can elevate my life. I can do these wonderful things. I don't have to be here. But going back to embracing authenticity, if you embrace authenticity about these folks, the purpose, calling their names, perhaps you will retain them. Perhaps employee turnover will reduce, because you're addressing who they really are. You're interested, you're intentionally interested, deliberately interested in the person who is working in cybersecurity. You're interested in the humanity of the person who's working in tech, not just seeing them as a resource, but a human being. Not just a resource. Because we have human resources. Yeah, human resources. Human being. We're human beings, we're humans. So you got to recognize that and embrace that and understand that we come with gifts and talents. We come with all these wonderful things that we have within us. And it's not just about the job, because those things can be transferred into the job. But if they're not showing who they really are, because you haven't opened that door, you're not approachable. You've not opened that door to say, let's have a conversation. I really want to understand where you're coming from. The door has to be opened. Great things happen when employees are authentic and free to be themselves in the workplace. You're not wasting money, you're not wasting time when you invest in your people. You're not wasting time when you invest in your employees, in your staff. You're not wasting time. You're not wasting money, because when you invest in them, you retain them. You're going to spend more money getting new hires, because the people that you do not appreciate, they're leaving. You're going to spend more money for that. There's a quote by Debbie Ford. She says, "The greatest act of courage is to be and to own all of who you are without apology, without excuses, without masks to cover the truth of who you are." I'm going to repeat it because it is crucial. The greatest act of courage is to be and to own all of who you are. Now, let me just speak to that for a second, to us here, not just to leadership. To own who you are, to be who you are, is an act of courage. Because a lot of times, people don't show who they really are. And I'm going back to what I said before. They're not showing who they really are because they're scared, because they're afraid that if I let you see me, that means you've got access to me. And then what? Then you're going to use it against me. And then what? Then maybe I lose my job because, I've let my guard down. So we have this guard that we put up like, you're not talking to me. I'm not even going to let you near me. I'm not even going to let you know who I am. But listen, the greatest act of courage is to be and to own all of who you are without apology, without excuses, without masks to cover the truth. Now, you understand that in the pandemic, is wearing masks and all this stuff because it covers who you are. You can only see the eyes, but then it covers everything, and you're like, my freedom is affected. What is this? I gotta be me. So this, without excuses, without masks to cover the truth of who you are, be fearless, be bold, be yourself. Be yourself. And I'll share something that's really important when it comes to authenticity. I talked earlier during the masterclass about representation. Now, the reason why I'm bringing representation up is representation matters. Representation matters because people want to see somebody who looks like them. In corporations, in leadership, people want to see that. So, for example, when you have skilled people want to apply for jobs in certain organizations, and then they go and look, I'm talking about marginalized people, we go and look at the leadership, we look at the organizational chart, we look at it, we don't see anybody who looks like us. And we're like, wow, I don't know about this place, I don't think I want to apply there, because I don't see anybody who looks like me there, so let's go to the next one. And then we're checking the next corporation, maybe your competitor. We're looking at them and like, oh, okay, I see this. There's somebody, okay. It seems like they're progressive, they're making, okay. They're going to apply. So we've got to make an effort. Leaders, I'm speaking to leaders. I know people watching online as well. Be intentional about representation. And when you're intentional about representation, you're creating an authentic footprint. You're creating an authentic roadmap, showing the world that you are making pathways, showing the world that you are embracing change, showing the world that you are a change agent, that you're making things happen. So you're creating this authentic footprint, and you're showing others in leadership that we can do this, because representation matters. I mentioned earlier about a quote that I heard Viola Davis say, and it goes somewhere along the lines of, because she was asked, why does representation matter? And she said something along the lines of, representation matters because you want to see a physical manifestation of your dream. You want to see a physical manifestation of your dream. So a lot of times, as you're creating this authentic roadmap, authentic footprint, authentic pathway in your organization, think about representation, because we want to see people who look like us. We want to see marginalized groups in leadership, not just getting people into cybersecurity and tech roles. Okay, we get in there, but we want to get to leadership as well. We want to be there because change happens when you're intentional about it. And you've got to open the door from inside. You've got to open the door from inside. So part of creating the authentic roadmap and authentic pathway is opening the door from inside. You don't say, that's not my problem, that's a HR problem. It's everybody's problem. Everybody's problem. Open the door from inside. You can open the door from inside. You can connect with somebody. Open the door from inside. So what should corporations do to reduce employee turnover, advance careers, increase productivity, and enhance corporate culture in the workplace? Just like I said before, open the door from inside. Embrace authenticity. One, think about how allowing authenticity amplifies your organizational goals. I shared earlier about the guy that plays a saxophone at gigs and makes money and, is part of a band. Do you host events in your organization? Do you have empowerment meetings for your staff or, little events, little gatherings, workplace gatherings? Perhaps you could reach out to that kind of person. If you embrace authenticity in the workplace, you would know that he plays that, and you can get him to do it. There's so many people who are working with you that you don't even know what they're gifted at. You don't even know what they can do. Photographers among you, but you just don't know because they're not telling because you're not interested. So we got to fix that. Think about how allowing authenticity amplifies your organizational goals. How can you embrace or recognize the gifts and talents in folks at your organization? One way of doing that is to perhaps send out questionnaires to your team. Something as simple as a questionnaire. It's not difficult to create. A questionnaire to your team. Just question it with things like, what do you do? What are you gifted in? What's your talent? What do you do in your free time? What would you do if you weren't paid for it? Just things like that in a questionnaire. And you'll be amazed at what people can do. You'll be amazed. It'll shock you what people can do. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I've been hanging around you for 5 years and I didn't even know this thing about you. You'll be surprised that the person sitting next to you is a popular singer. You'll be amazed. But it goes back to intentionality. Creating something as simple as a questionnaire can help to identify what your folks can do. Another thing is to create space for authenticity. For example, hold meetings, in-house events, that showcase employee talents, things like that. I know that, with the pandemic, a lot of people are still, at home, but you could do virtual things as well. Everything doesn't have to be in person. There are ways. We don't have any excuse. We can actually fix this problem. Problem that can be fixed, but we've got to make an effort, and we've got to be intentional about it. Create space for authenticity. Hold interesting and engaging events, conversations. Hold these things, and you'll be amazed at what people can do. Now, I have one question for leaders. Are you approachable? Because this is something that hinders. This is something that hinders authenticity in the workplace. If you're not approachable, you will never know what's happening. Things will be happening around you, but you won't hear about it. And one day, there's going to be a mass exodus of staff. And you're wondering, what's happening? Why is everybody leaving? What happened? What did I do? Hey, because you didn't have your ear to the ground. And you didn't communicate. You're not approachable. People can't talk to you. There's a barrier, lots of protocols, all kinds of things. Nobody can talk to you. Nobody can send you an email. People have to go through all these hurdles to communicate to you, to tell you that change has to happen, that things have to change, that the shift's got to happen. You're not approachable. Are people afraid to talk to you, to share, to talk about their gifts and talents, to talk about the things that they do that makes them happy? Are people afraid because they feel like if I talk too much, I go back again to the witch hunt? If I talk too much, I don't know. Maybe they're gonna who does she think she is? Who does he think he is? Now he's saying he plays this or he does this. Oh, really? Oh, so he's making more money than he's getting at the job. Oh, well, he doesn't need this job then, does he? So that's something to think about. And another question is, do you welcome your team's ideas? Do you welcome their ideas, or do you shut them down when they make suggestions? How do you handle that? Because sometimes you're going to hear people that say, I made a suggestion, I made a recommendation, but nothing happened. They didn't do anything about it, and I'm not going to do it again. They've sent another email saying we should say something. Why bother? Because the first time I said something, nobody did anything. Nobody took action. It just went blank. Nothing happened. I don't even know if they got the email or if they got the survey that I completed. I don't even know. Nothing was done. Nothing was implemented. Absolutely nothing. So why even bother? Do you welcome ideas? Do you follow up on ideas? Do you shut down ideas and suggestions? Do you implement the suggestions even though you've received them? Do you do anything about them? Because it's one thing to collect all this stuff, another thing to actually implement and finish it off. It's extremely important that you're not just talking, you're activating, you're implementing, and you're pursuing, because you want to impact, you want to make positive impact. You want to be a leader who makes positive impact. Because when you make positive impact, it's not just on the people who work with you. I talked about this in the masterclass this morning. I talked about it's not just about you. You're making positive impact on the people who work with you. However, it trickles, it transfers to the people they go home to. It transfers to generations. Because you think that it's them because the person is right in front of you, but it goes beyond the individual that's in front of you. They take it home. Maybe they've got families, maybe they've got children, and they're talking positively to their children about the change that's happening. But if they're constantly going home and they're talking about that evil manager or that evil director, I can't wait for him to leave. I'm praying day and night for that person to go. They're telling the kids like, oh my gosh, is this what it's like to work in corporate? I don't know if I want to work for anybody. Because now they have this mentality like, it's best to, I don't know whether this is the kind of life I want to live when I grow up. Because dad is always complaining about that director that he's praying for him to leave. Or mom is complaining about the manager that just won't let her be or just won't give her that promotion, even she's qualified for that promotion. So it goes beyond the individual. It goes beyond you making a positive impact on the person who's in front of you or who's applying for promotion or who's applying for a job. It affects their generation. It's not just the person, but the people that's connected to them. Another way of handling the situation is embracing multi-potentiality. Now, Tamara Fisher mentioned that this multipotentiality is the state of having many exceptional talents, any one or more of which could make for a great career for that person. That's multipotentiality. There are a lot of people with multipotentiality working with you, multipotentialites, people who are gifted in many ways, diverse skills. And even if they decide that they want to pursue one skill, they're going to excel at it. No matter what, they're going to excel at it. So there are people like that who are working with you. Again, you will not know who they are, because if you're not approachable and if you're not intentional about, there's a problem. Now, people are gifted and excel in different areas, but you won't see talents displayed because they're not encouraged to be at work. They're not encouraged to be themselves at work. There is the human side to technology. So, who said that because we're or tech professionals, that we don't have struggles, we don't have ambitions, we don't have obligations, we don't have goals, nothing like that, we don't have priorities? There is the human side of this. And I'm going back to it because without the human aspect of what we are doing, things are not going to work. There is a human side to this. The question is your organization inclusive? And does it embrace authentic allyship? Is it inclusive? Does it embrace authentic allyship? Because if it embraces inclusivity and authentic allyship, a shift will happen, a change will happen. This is a quote from Steve Jobs. He said, "Technology alone is not enough. It's technology married with liberal arts, married with humanities, that yields the results that makes our hearts sing." Technology alone is not enough. It's technology married with liberal arts, married with humanities, that yields the results that makes our hearts sing. So there's more to what we need to do. It's not enough to say, okay, tech. There is a human aspect of tech, and let's not forget that. Here's an example of somebody that was gifted in many ways. Leonardo da Vinci, multi-talented, architect, painter, musician, mathematician, engineer, writer, all kinds of things. And guess what? There are people like that working with you. Diverse skills and expertise working with you. And you won't know. There's some people on LinkedIn, they won't even put all this stuff that they do on LinkedIn because they don't want people to think that they're wishy-washy. They don't know what they're doing. Because how come 1 minute you're an engineer and the next minute you're what? What's wrong with you? Don't you know what you want to do with your life? Don't you know what you want to do with your career? Why are you shifting from one to the other? And I say this all the time to people. I say, there's nothing wrong with having a zigzag career. You can have a zigzag career, but there's nothing wrong with that because you're embracing your authenticity. You're embracing who you are. That's what it is. There's nothing wrong with it. Maya Angelou was a poet, a singer, journalist, dancer, civil rights worker, movie director, amongst many things. She did many things, excelled at them. So authenticity really goes down to being who you are and, as a leader, allowing people to be who they are, opening the door for them to be who they are. Affect what they do, and it's not going to affect their jobs because a lot of the concern is it's going to affect the job, and I'm not even going to try that because if I try that, then a lot of things, strange things will start happening. Well, give it a try and see what happens, okay? Because there are folks like Da Vinci, Maya Angelou in your organization, but you don't know them because of your current corporate culture. Many have expertise, knowledge, gifts, talents that are deactivated because fear of repercussions, underutilized because you're not talking to them, untapped because you don't know about it, unknown because you just won't open the door, yet these things are very valuable. So it is crucial that if you're a leader here, you be the change agent. It's your turn to change your title to change agent. It's your season to make it happen, not just for you, for others, because it trickles, it creates ripple effects when you make change, and it's time to embrace authenticity in the workplace. The workplace needs your input for positive impact. Thank you. That's my session. Don't forget to fill out the session survey. After this.
Belinda, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have a few moments before I would like to announce our scholarship winners. Do we have any questions from the audience? Do we have any questions from our chat? Any questions in the audience so far? Yes, one in the back. If you could please stand up. You can say your question and I'll repeat it over the microphone. So the question is, what can your average employee do to increase authenticity and inclusivity?
Okay, great, thank you. So one way of doing that, increasing inclusivity, is actually opening the door. I've seen people who are, for example, sharing jobs on LinkedIn in their organizations, and they're actively trying to get people, marginalized people, into the organization. They're actively doing it because they know that change has to happen. Sometimes I have seen on LinkedIn that the people who are doing it are people who are marginalized themselves, who are in there trying to get other people in there, which is great. However, being intentional about change is also opening the door for somebody who doesn't look like you. Opening the door for somebody who doesn't look like you. Be intentional about it and say, you know what? There are too many people in this organization who look like us in this place. We need to be diverse. We need to be intentional about increasing certain groups in the organization. And not just bringing them in, but the other thing is you can bring somebody in and the person won't feel like they belong there. I can come in, but I probably won't feel like I belong there because you're not making me feel like I belong there. So you've got to be intentional about making the people you bring in to belong in the place and understand. And this is something that I coach women about. I say, you know what? You got to value your brilliance, because when you value who you are, regardless of where you go, you're going to feel like you belong there because you're qualified to be there. So you grab a seat at that table, you sit down there and say, I belong here. And I'm going to make it happen because this is where I am. The door was opened for me to get in here. I'm staying here. And we're going to make it work. But then again, the people that you're working with, not just leaders, the people you're working with, communication is crucial. Mm-hmm. Communication is crucial because you're dealing with other people in your team that need to understand where you're coming from. And one way of understanding where you're coming from is communication. So you got to be intentional about connecting with the next person. Be intentional about connecting with somebody who doesn't look like you, who doesn't talk like you. Be intentional about it. You'll be amazed at what you're going to learn.
So if I were to boil that down a little bit, if I hear you saying, focus on the self, focus on being more confident in yourself, and then parlaying that and communicating that confidence, that not being afraid to communicate that to others, not being afraid to let someone know that you play the saxophone, not being afraid to let someone know that you are a photographer and possess multi-talents. We're gonna alternate in between questions from the chat and here, and I saw a few more hands here. Okay. Do you have one that you want to cover real quick?
Yeah, there's one here. It says, what are some practical things I can do to make my employees feel valued?
Okay.
Right.
Do you have anything?
Yeah. I mentioned this before. Practical things you could do is one-on-one conversation, one-on-one. Because a lot of times, listen, let's be frank here. Let's be real, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of times, if I am, I have a leader who doesn't look like me. I'm a black woman who doesn't look like me. And I feel like I can't talk to you. I'm not going to talk to you. Absolutely not. I'm not going to talk to you. Mm-hmm. When I say not talk to you, not meaning that when I see you, I don't say hello or anything. I'll say hello, but you're not going to know my business.
Exactly.
Because I don't feel that you're interested in my humanity. I don't feel that you're interested in me, Belinda, as a person. So if you're genuinely interested in me, we're holding a conversation, one-on-one. Hey, Belinda, let's have coffee. Oh, so how are you? Just conversation. And then as time goes by, the guard is going to be let down a little, step by step, because I'm like, okay, I feel more comfortable now. She's not really who I thought she was. She's really nice. She's not. So we've got to be intentional. I go back to intentionality again. You've got to be intentional about connecting and understanding that a lot of times we come with this guard already, like, okay, this is who they are and this is how it is, and But if you are approachable and I can talk to you and people who look like me can talk to you, guess what? You'll be amazed at what's going to happen.
So, give me 1 second. If I could I hate to brag on ISACA because I love working for ISACA, but we recently have a new VP of People and Culture, Megan Creedon, I do believe. It's hyphenated, forgive me. Love you, Megan. But one of the things, the first thing she did was a listening tour. A listening tour. And you can go on one of those websites where she invited employees to create appointments with her. She set, the time frames, and to create appointments with her, 20 minutes, where she just spoke to you. And so of course, I signed up, right? And so I get into the session and I say, well, do we have an agenda? Is there a questionnaire? What do how are you fielding this? And she says, no, Holly, I really just wanted to take the opportunity to learn more about you and share some things about me. Totally disarming. It's like, whoa, I'm talking to a VP who just really is interested in knowing who I am, what I am, and how I am. And and I do mean how, how do you feel working here at ISACA? How has your experience been? What can we do better? What can we continue to do? And so it sounds like sometimes it's something so simple, but a 20-minute unscripted conversation and the intentionality behind having it in a virtual space, when I tell you has gone leaps and bounds for an already awesome experience that I've been having, it's amazing. Okay, I had a question over here. Yes, sir. So to repeat the question, you are asking for practical ways to create time and space to express yourself, to showcase your authenticity, and to have those intentional conversations with a manager. Oh, that is.
What's the question?
So how do you create time and space to have those candid conversations with management?
Okay. So sometimes it's just a simple thing as scheduling time. Scheduling. I don't know whether your organization uses Teams or whatever you use to communicate. Scheduling time. Say, can I schedule a time to chat with you? Just something. Scheduling time, because it goes down to communication.
Yeah.
Again, scheduling time with the person to have a chat. There are some people.
And before that, it might be courage.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of courage, yeah.
It might take courage.
It might take courage.
Because I have those same fears. It's like, I want to talk to someone, but is it appropriate for me to move up or to contact someone else? Sometimes. It's just about courage.
It's about courage. And then you just have to just do it.
Schedule that meeting.
Just do it.
Be radical, be brave.
Just do it. It's just like when some people are they want to connect with people, maybe on LinkedIn. I'm like, I don't know who to reach out to because I need help about something, but I don't know if they're going to answer me. I just tell them, just send it anyway. What's the worst that's going to happen? They don't answer you, move on to the next. It's all right. There's always somebody somewhere who's going to help. There's always somebody somewhere. There's a solution somewhere. So if the first person doesn't respond, on to the next. It's okay. There is a solution somewhere. Every problem has a solution.
I will add, if there is no response, that tells you who you're working for.
There you go. There you go.
And that too can open up possibilities for you. That button on LinkedIn to say that I'm available is a click away, friends. Okay, maybe one more question. Ginger, did you have something? Okay, maybe one more question. Did I see a young lady here earlier? No. Okay. Did you want to take one? And then we will announce our scholarship winners. I'm so excited. You got one more?
Let me see. No.
No? No. I think we've covered it all. Oh, I have a follow-up here from the gentleman.
Oh, okay.
So the gentleman is asking for books, other materials or resources to support what you have shared here today, and other resources to look forward to, I guess, to build that courage, build that confidence in affecting gender balance and advocating for yourself and your authenticity.
Absolutely. In terms of books, I don't have anything off my head right now. But however,
You have one.
however, I have lots of books on Amazon. Want to check that out? And on my personal website, I have tons of content in there, lots of content in there to help you to get to your next level, to elevate your life, elevate your career. And it is istartandfinish.com. That's what it is. istartandfinish.com. And that's a lot of stuff that I talk about really is starting and finishing. So istartandfinish.com. It's very easy. Go there. Lots of information, blog posts, lots of things there that you can definitely just do a search and you'll find the answer. That's it.
Fantastic. Can we give a round of applause to Ms. Belinda
Get my
Enoma?
glasses.
Thank you so very much. So Ginger is going to come up, and first and foremost, thank you, Belinda, for offering these scholarships for our audience and for women in trust everywhere. We appreciate you, and to that end, thank you for your additional generosity, because as we were here selecting the recipients, she says, oh, wow, there are a lot. I'm going to open up 2 more slots. So instead of 6, we are offering 8 scholarships, and Ginger is going to announce those winners now.
Great. Thank you, Holly. And yes, thank you, Belinda. Yeah, as we were looking over these and doing a little of our scoring, you know, there's so many wonderful, highly potential people. So I'm going to go ahead with these names. I'm going to, some of the winners or the awardees were nominated by others, and maybe they don't even know it. And so obviously they may not even be listening. Some of the others nominated themselves. I'm not clear who's live and who is virtual on these, but I will say, we'll say the names, and then we'll reach out to you definitely and do follow up. But again, yes, instead of 6, we're going with 8, yay. So let me announce those awardees. I'm just a few names or else I'll mess up everything. But so our first awardee is Rosie Wu. And Rosie's from Boston, I believe, and not sure if the nominator's here, but Rosie, congratulations. We also have Danielle Mohammed, who was from, I don't see necessarily where she's from, but she is also an awardee. Then I have Chelsea Bragg, who's from NOLA, from here. We also have Shante Santa Marina, also from New Orleans. Shukriya, oh my gosh, I'm so terrible. Shukriya Jalazada also is an awardee. Rupal Shah is an awardee. And Haley Robinson. And last but not least, Becca Brossard is an awardee. So thank you to all those incredible young ladies, young women, and we're looking forward to reaching out to you all. Please keep in mind we're doing these scholarships constantly. We're sometimes tagging them onto an event or a ISACA speaker series. We're going to do something for National Cyber Awareness Month. As well as, oh gosh, just a bunch of stuff. Plus, we have the academic scholarships. So thank you all very much, and I'll hand it back to Holly.
All righty, thank you, everyone. We sincerely appreciate you joining us, and I would like to take a moment to thank the allies in the room. Thank you to the other genders who showed up today to hear this message. We sincerely appreciate you. Please make sure that you connect with us on social media platforms, and our website is www.oneintech.org. We can also be reached by your favorite site on earth, www.isaca.org. Thank you so much. Safe travels getting home. Thank you for joining us for this conference. The closing keynote will be happening downstairs. We sincerely appreciate you. Take care and stay safe.